Timelines are an interesting one. Let's define a timeline. What is a timeline? A timeline is a path that you decide to take in your life, a path that you decide to revere down during your human existence. Now, I want you to understand the concepts of human existence, decision making, and timelines, right? As a human being, you are operating on nothing but decisions every single day. So the decision you make now is going to affect the kind of life that you're going to be living in, let's say, an hour's time. A decision that you made yesterday has meant that you are now in the position that you are in now. And if you think about all the decisions you made yesterday to bring you to the point that you are in now, then it's a countless number of decisions, right? And so our human existence is constantly revolving around the decisions we make. And we forget this because this is just the normal process of life. But if you begin to divide up all of those decisions, whether it's a decision to go and cook some food, or a decision to go to the gym, or a decision to start doing some work, or a decision just to get in bed and go to sleep, whatever decision you make is going to affect your life in some way, shape, or form. And ultimately, it's going to affect the type of timeline that you are on. So really, the point that I'm trying to make is that there are a limitless number of timelines that you can go down in your life, because there is a limitless number of decisions that you can make at any given point in time, right? Which is an interesting concept because it gives you a new perspective of timelines and how to live our lives. So if you then take a step back and say, okay, if every decision I'm going to make is going to affect my life in some way, shape, or form, what happens if I try and make the right decision every single time? And the right decision for you could be completely different for somebody else, right? The right decision for you is a decision that is going to benefit you in your life in the way that you want it to, right? And this is just an example of how much power we have, how much control we have over our own lives. So understanding decisions and how they affect your life puts you in a position to make the right decisions, right? Let's go back to the discussion of timelines. If you are on NoFap, you are on an optimal timeline because what you are doing is forcing yourself to be disciplined, you're challenging yourself, you're ridding of a bad habit, and you are providing yourself with more energy, more drive, right? So if you have more energy and more drive, you are better equipped to make a decision to do something that is going to be harder, right? Perhaps you have the motivation and the drive to make a decision that you'd have struggled to make if you were still addicted to PMO because you'd have lacked the energy, right? You'd have depleted your seed and you wouldn't have had the life force energy to make the decision to do the difficult thing, right? So when you are on NoFap, you are on the optimal timeline. I'm on day 14 of NoFap. And so I can happily say that I'm on an optimal timeline because if I relapsed 3 days ago, for example, I can guarantee I wouldn't have had the drive and the motivation to record this video that I'm recording now, right? I wouldn't have had the drive and the motivation to do the workout that I did in the gym yesterday. I most likely wouldn't have had the drive and the motivation to go on the bike ride that I went on after the gym, right? And instead of cooking my lunch, I'd have probably gone out to eat somewhere, right? Meaning I'd have eaten unhealthy food, probably fast food, instead of cooking some food with vegetables. And so that's just an example of how my decision to remain on NoFap has given me the energy and the motivation and the drive to make more correct or right decisions that are going to improve my life. I hope you understand what I mean here. Now, I like to use analogies to make my points more understandable, right? And I'm going to talk about your timeline. And let's say, for example, you have a dream girl, right? Or perhaps you don't even have a dream girl, but there is a woman who is going to be in your life in, let's say, 10 days' time. But in order for you to meet that woman, you need to both be on the right timeline. Okay, you need to be on similar timelines. So there's this really, really amazing woman who's probably going to be your dream girl and you don't even know about it yet. And you're going to cross paths, right? Because you're both on these timelines, right? The universe is bringing you together. You're practicing NoFap. I mean, let's say you're on day 5 and you're going to meet this girl in 10 days time. So you need to continue on NoFap for another 10 days, right? Meaning that on day 15 of NoFap, you're going to meet this girl, right? You and this girl are going to cross paths. She's doing her own thing. She's on her timeline, making all the decisions that she needs to make. And you're both slowly but surely approaching each other, right? At some point in your existence in the universe. But let's say instead of continuing on your journey of NoFap, you make a decision to relapse on day 11, right? So 4 days away from meeting this girl, you relapse and you dip down, meaning that you choose another timeline, right? And instead of crossing paths with this girl on day 15 of NoFap, you revere down different timelines and you relapse on day 11 and you completely miss the opportunity to meet this girl, right? Well, if you'd have stayed consistent on your streak of NoFap and if you'd have got to 15 days, you and this girl would have crossed paths and you would have become best friends and you'd have gone on dates and you would have been so happy because you met this beautiful, amazing woman that you never knew even existed. And she's met this amazing man who's on a beautiful journey of NoFap and healing himself in terms of sexual energy. And you could have built an amazing life together. Now, I understand that's a cringy example and many of us are men going our own ways. We're not interested in relationships right now, right? But I'm just giving you an example. Perhaps that could have been a business partner. Perhaps that could have been just an idea that comes into your head for you to start a new business or go down a different path. Perhaps that could have been a new best friend, right? Perhaps that could have been an investment opportunity, right? It could have been anything. But instead of meeting that possibility, you revered down a different timeline. So if you now know that every single decision you make is going to affect your timeline and the kind of path that you're living, the path that you take in life, then it's now time to start making the right decisions on a consistent basis. You see, if you understand the repercussions of the decisions you make and you are aware of this consistently, then it's easier to then make the right decisions all of the time, right? And once again, life isn't perfect. However, you can make it as perfect as it can be by simply taking the time to acknowledge that the decisions you make are going to affect your life and the timeline that you're on. And then hopefully that will make it easier for you to make the right decisions. Divine Masculine Tantra. I hope to see you on the next video.